Hey guys, Dan the Dentist here. Today I wanted to work on a surgical guide case. This case I have not worked on yet, and so I haven't really seen anything. The only thing I've done in advance here is cleaned up the digital models from the Primescan a little bit in Mesh Mixer. Other than that, I haven't really looked at anything else, and I exported the DICOM files onto my desktop. So since I'm doing a surgical guide, I'm gonna come in here. I'm going to actually click on my CT scan import where I find my DICOM file. I do that first because I find it easier to tell the software how to import the STLs later, as opposed to putting the STLs in first and then the cone beam later. So it's going to ask to confirm that that's the the DICOM file that I want. It's going to allow me to modify the data I import by modifying how much I want. I just end up giving all of it, which I realize will give you a larger file unnecessarily, but I guess I don't really mind. I have plenty of storage. So now I have my DICOM loaded. I'm going to also import my STL here since it prompts me to do so, and since this is a lower tooth, number 30, I'm going to import my lower first, and it's going to automatically align to my DICOM file, which is a really nice feature. Tell it that it's the mandible, and it does its alignment. It's just telling you to make sure that you verify that it's a good fit. I'm kind of looking up here where you can see the outline of my Primescan overlaying my DICOM file, and that all seems to match up very well with the hard tissue. So I'm happy with that. I still want to bring in my maxillary model, but I do not want it aligning with the top of my DICOM file, because obviously my DICOM file is with them biting on a bite stick and not in maximum intercuspation like I would want in order to dial in occlusion, which probably doesn't matter in the sense that I'm not going to be placing this implant and restoring it immediately. But I do want to get a sense of where the screw access hole will be in relation to the top tooth. So anyway, so I'm going to come up here and import the maxillary model. And it's going to ask me which one it is, and I could say okay, but I'm actually going to X out of this. And instead, I'm going to zoom out on here, and you can see there's my model sitting out here in space. That's not right. But the computer automatically knew where the mandibular was in space. In order to align it, it had to bring it up to here. And the computer knows how much it had to move it up to the DICOM file to line it up. So what I'm going to do is, over to model manipulation, I'm going to align with my upper model selected. I'm going to align it to model, and I'm going to align it to my lower model. Make sure the line using points is off, hit OK, and then it's going to import on top of my mandibular model. So right now I'm in the module for model editing. This is pretty much all the model editing I need to do. Let's bring this over to the surgical guide. I'm going to put it on advanced. Actually, you know what? Let me put it on normal. Let me show you why I want it on advanced. I have all these tabs over on the right side. There's a guide panel here, and you have kind of these basic features to make your surgical guide, but it's missing some things that I'm going to use. So I'm going to come down here and switch it to advanced guide panel. You're going to see that it threw in this additional information here for particularly the surgical guide path, or surgical guide insertion path. I am very picky on my guide path, and I'm picky about the maximum allowed undercut, and ask me how I know. I had the default from just the regular guide in the past, and when I put the guide down, it snapped right in, and it was on top of some crowns, and when I pulled that guide back out, it pulled some crowns out with it, and that made for a bad day. So I actually like to have full control of those undercuts. I do not like the default, which is 0.1. I will bring that down to half that, or maybe all the way to even 0. In which case, if it's on 0, you will need to make sure you're stabilizing the guide with your hand so that it's not moving while you're placing the implant. So I'm going to plug in an implant here. I am going to come over to this tab up here. The implants that I am currently using is a Bluesky Bio implant, particularly the Biomax, compatible with the Nobel system. This is a molar, so I'm kind of hoping for a 5. And all their platforms are going to be a narrow platform, which makes things pretty nice from a stock parts and abutments. Pretty nice, although there is some reasoning behind that beyond just the convenience, mostly in the name of platform switching. But regardless, I'm just kind of making a guess here on a length, see what the 11.5 looks like. There's a lot of different ways to manipulate this. You can do this in any of these windows, really. You know what you can do, and I usually don't do this, but you can do it. You can ask it to find your nerve. So, you know, and then I got this little exclamation point that's showing me that the implant's too close to nerve number 1, which I think that when you're using the surgical guides, you know, you're going to want to go a little bit deeper with your osteotomy. Plus, I don't have this implant down all the way. So this is going to be an issue. So I already know that I'm going to be switching my implant up a little bit. So let's go ahead and change that implant to a 10 millimeter long implant. I'm going to dip this a little bit lower than the crest of the bone because I want this to be subcrestal. Kind of looking at my axis, right? There's this gray that sticks out here. You know, that's going to change as I switch this. So as I'm moving this over, I'm kind of seeing where I want to arrange this tooth in relation to, or this implant in relation to the other natural teeth. So you can see, you know, obviously where this line is the path of insertion of the implant, which is hitting just right on the mesial lingual cusp of the upper first molar, which is perfect. I mean, because that cusp is supposed to be right in my central fossa of my lower tooth, so that's pretty good. I might be able to bodily move this tooth a little bit. So that's pretty good. You know, I could try to assign a tooth to this just to give me an idea, and I guess I'll show you just for the sake of showing you. So I hit Align New Tooth, and you can select all sorts of different types. I just tend to gravitate towards this Mitchhurst Pontic library. It's one of my favorites. Select number 30, and there, I just kind of get a good sense of what that would look like. And it automatically plates this tooth in perfect relation to my fixture. And look, you can see exactly that. My the path of insertion is right down the central fossa of that tooth. And I'm sure that there's some contacts here, yeah, so I mean, like, I would want to modify the individual shape of these teeth. I could do that if I want to. If I want to do that, I can come to this module and do crown and bridge, and I can come in and select this tooth, and I might be able to smooth out some parts of it, get my contacts down that are way too heavy. So for whatever reason I wanted to immediately restore this, I now just really quickly made myself a tooth that's now on occlusion. Could nitpick a few other things, so actually there's no contact, so I could come in here and obviously adjust for that if I wanted. So I already kind of have a tooth if I want to use it. I don't think I'm gonna end up using it in this case.